everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tommy today, and today we're going to be talking about three things. We're going to be talking about our contour, our blush, and our highlighter. They all go hand in hand and they're meant to complement each other greatly. What we're going to start with is our contour. Contour is done with bronzer. Bronzer is incredibly intimidating. No matter, especially if you're pale like I am, no matter how light the bronzer looks, it looks like it's going to be way too dark for you. But relax, trust me. The trick with contour is that we're playing with the shadows on our face to give ourselves more of a defined muscle structure. Not muscle structure, bone structure in our face. And let me kind of show you how that's going to work. What you're going to want first is you're going to want to get your bronzer. I just have some Tarte bronzer here. And you're going to want a brush that works best for you. The brush that I absolutely adore is just an angled brush like this. Can you see it? Kind of like that right there. It's slanted off to the side, and the reason I like it so much is it helps with my cheekbones, which I love calling attention to. So my cheekbones tend to stick out naturally as it is, but if you have trouble finding yours, all you have to do is suck your cheeks in and get right below where that cheekbone lies, kind of where it would sink into your face. So I see mine naturally, but if you want to find yours, go. And just one little line right there. There we go. And I also like to contour out my temples here. And I like to throw some shadow on my forehead to lower my forehead because I got a big old forehead. There we go. Throw that on there. Wonderful. And if you want, you can even contour out your jawline. Now you're going to want to get right below the jawline, because again, we want to play with the shadows. We want to make our own bone structure, but we don't want to put so much powder on that it's obvious what we're doing here. We want it to look as natural as possible. Now, if you have a natural tan, you can afford to put more bronzer on, but unfortunately, I'm pale as death all the time, so I have to go with how my bone structure is already laid out. I also would like to skinny up my nose a little bit. So for me to do that, I like this rounded brush here, but I know that there are people who swear by a brush like this. It's an angled brush, the kind that we were talking about for our eyebrows that we use to skinny them up or fix our mistakes. So regardless of which brush you like more, you just simply dip it in, tap off the excess, and you're going to follow your eyebrow line and again play with the shadows. Go right in the shadow line and very gently brush it on there. See? There we go. Wonderful. Now if you find that you put the lines on too harshly, what you can always do is get a nice fluffy brush. Let me find one that I have here. You can get a little nice fluffy brush like this one right here, and you could simply use it to kind of soften out the lines a little bit if you added them too harshly. Now, if you really want to make the jaw, or not the jaw, but the cheekbone contour pop, remember how when we did the concealer and the setting powder, we talked about baking it? You can also bake it along your jawline, and that'll help set it in and make it look stronger. So we're going to dip our beauty blender into our setting powder and just follow that down in a straight line just like that. Right below where you laid that contour. Wonderful. There we go. And we need to let that set for a couple minutes. So while that sits there, let's talk about blush. Depending on your skin complexion, different blushes are going to work for you. I like a nice pink blush. Sometimes I like a peach blush. It just depends on my mood. Some blushes even have shimmers in them. I love a ton of highlighter with my look, so I'm going to use a matte blush personally. I I don't know where I put it. So I have this Betty Boop blush. It's a collaboration that Ipsy did with Betty Boop. I like a nice fluffy brush, and I'm gonna dip it into this like little peach one here that's matte. And I tap off the excess. And what you're gonna wanna do to apply that blush is you really want to get it in the apples of your cheeks, but tap it on first. Especially if it's a blush you're not familiar with. You don't want to add too much right off the bat. There we are. There we go. Fantastic. Alright. It's that simple. I'm super pale, so I don't need a lot of blush. I really have to be careful with it because it takes just like one swipe too many and suddenly I look ridiculous. Alright, we got the blush on. Let's talk about highlighter. Highlighter is not for everybody. If you have particularly oily skin or you tend to just sweat a lot, maybe highlighter won't look the best for you. Or if you have a lot of like acne, it might look like you're just sweaty instead of the glow that you want from a highlighter. And that's okay, you don't need highlighter. I love highlighter personally, even though I have bad skin. So, the way that I apply it, the Peppermint Frost Jeffree Star, there's for a less intense look you can use a brush. I know a lot of people enjoy using fan brushes to get their highlight on. So you just dip the fan brush in, tap it off, and you can just get a mirror so you can see what you're doing. And you just right along the cheekbone there, and that'll give it a really subtle glow. And then you dip it back in, right along the bridge of your nose. Some people just do the tip of their nose, and it looks wonderful. But as I've said earlier, I really like a strong highlight. And if you want to just call attention to it, you dip your whole finger in there and tap it right on that cheekbone. I don't know if you can see the difference, but there's quite a difference between the two sides. So, the places that you might want to add the highlighter are on the cheekbones, right underneath your brow, on the bridge of your nose, and in your Cupid's bow, which is where your lips dip in. Especially if you're going to wear lipstick, it just adds that extra pop, and it looks wonderful. So we've let this setting powder set for a couple minutes. We're going to go ahead and just take a stipple brush and wipe it right off. And you don't have to use a stipple brush. You can use whatever brush works best for you. And we're just going to go ahead and there. You see how crisp that makes the contour look? And it also kind of mutes it a little bit so that if you added the contour too strong, which I have a habit of doing, it kind of mutes it and makes it look a little less extra. Oh yeah, see this side's a little much, so I'm just going to rub it all the way in, and that really toned it down just enough to make it look natural-ish. Okay. Wonderful. Very good, you guys. So, my question to you is, what techniques have you found works best for you when it comes to contour, highlight, blush? Like, do you have a favorite tool? Let's kind of open the door for conversation. Are there any hidden gems for products out there, especially drugstore products? Because Jeffree Star is wonderful for quality, but I know a lot of people don't agree with him, and his products can be pricey. So what have you found that works well? Let's go ahead and drop our comments in the comment section below. And for now, that's all the time I have for this video. I want to thank you so much for watching. I'm Tommy today. We'll see you next time.